But this is now the elite of the Chinese Communist Party in public is starting to turn on each other, just like this looks like the scene out of The Godfather, right, where they had the 5 families and they start the war. Can you tell our audience, particularly this Guardian story, what exactly is going on now in Beijing? Are they turning on each other, and is Xi in trouble?
Yeah, it appears that Xi Jinping is in trouble. This is a very significant development. A senior party official, her name is Sai Shah, and she is broken with the party. She's been expelled for, believe it or not, criticizing Xi Jinping. But more importantly, I think, Xi has said that there is widespread disaffection within the party over the consolidation of party, the purges that have been underway by Xi Jinping. I think it's a reflection of President Trump's hardline policies and Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's hardline policies. I think there are voices in the party which are starting to recognize that this is a mafia state. These families are corrupt. They're stealing from the Chinese people, and there's growing opposition to this massive dictatorship that Xi Jinping has set up.
Listen, nothing that is going on right now will have a bigger impact in your life than what's going on in Beijing. This is why I said on Maria Bartiromo the other day, the path to victory here for President Trump, for the nationalists, for the populists, goes right through Beijing. And what you're seeing, I think with this woman, there's 2 things going on. Number one, you have the new federal state of China. You have other organizations kind of like that. You have this whistleblower movement. You have Milesguo, GTV, all of that. Their thesis is take down the CCP. You have people like this woman. I think there's a civil war going on in the Chinese Communist Party just about who's going to run it, not actually taking it down. Either case, these are positive movements from President Trump. Remember, this week in The Economist has got the cover story, Bill, about how great Xi is, how he's built an incredible economy, how he handled the pandemic better than anybody, how the economy's coming roaring back, and puts on notice the critics, and particularly the super hawks and ultra hawks in the West, and specifically in the United States, saying we're dead wrong. Guess what? We're not dead wrong. I went and talked at the 175th anniversary of the Economist news magazine. I went after the editor about their weakness and their kowtowing on China. So, Bill, I want to say, do you think this is just people going at each other about who's going to control the Chinese Communist Party, or do you think this is the beginning of the end of the Chinese Communist Party?
I see the current period as analogous to the late 80s and early 90s, where everyone in the world except the CIA recognized that the Soviet Union was headed for the ash heap of history. I think that there is widespread disaffection. I think because of the secrecy at the top there, we don't have a real good view what's going on there. There was just another CIA officer prosecuted as a Chinese spy out in Hawaii this week. So I think things are pretty unstable there. But again, it's very hard to tell. We don't have good visibility into the Zhongnan High. We don't know what happened at their big summer meeting with the leadership. But clearly, Xi Jinping's ability over the last 8 years to brutally consolidate power has created a widespread opposition to his rule, both within the party and, of course, among the Chinese people who hate the Chinese Communist Party. They view the Communist Party as just a corrupt political entity, as you said, like the mafia.
By the way, Milesguo, General Spaulding, Bill Goetz, you wait what happens. I call this the law of unintended consequences. One of the big pressures I think he's getting in the senior cadre of the Chinese Communist Party and among the Chinese people is about this virus. And that's where Dr. Yan and these other whistleblowers, Giuseppe Trito, when they start honing down on Wuhan in the lab, this is one of the things that's making Xi so weak, is exactly what happened, how it got out, how it devastated the Chinese economy. Okay, Bill, before we go, it really unreported this week, except for some of the economic news, is what President Trump's doing on Huawei. He's delivering another hammer blow. Can you walk us through that?
Yes. The Commerce Department issued new rules on 38 subsidiaries of Huawei Technologies, the big state-run telecommunications company. The goal of this operation was basically to close loopholes. And what it's going to do is going to prevent Huawei from purchasing not just U.S. chips, but foreign chips that have U.S. technology in them. And this is going to be a major blow to Huawei, which, again, is out to corner the world market on 5G technology. So this was a very significant step. The Chinese have threatened some unspecified retaliation, again, going after some of the American tech companies. We'll have to see how this plays out.
Bill, just one last thing before you go. If you were in the Oval today talking to President Trump, given your 30-plus years of following this story about the Chinese Communist Party, what would be your recommendation to him, particularly since we haven't heard the C word, the China word, in any of the talks by the Democratic Party? What would be your recommendation to him?
I would say let's move forward on recognizing Taiwan. Again, that's probably the most controversial thing the president could do. But let's face it, I think that this is in the aftermath of the Hong Kong takeover by China, that the U.S. should develop closer relations with Taiwan. I think that would be sending a strong signal. Again, the president has continued to keep these tough policies going. And again, I would also praise Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has really been the leader. And of course, he's been vilified in the Chinese press, but he's doing tremendous things to orient U.S. policy. And again, the Justice Department, Commerce Department, full speed ahead. That's what I say. I think we would continue this path and really let the Democrats know that as you said, we're all China hawks now. It's not just a Republican issue. It should be both Republican and Democrats.